Delivering bad news to your patients as a healthcare professional is never a desirable experience, nor is it a pleasant experience. But as we are all aware, it is an inevitable part of our jobs as healthcare professionals. Some bad forms of bad news, however, are particularly more emotionally triggering and distressing. And today I'm just going to cover an example of one of these situations where you have to deliver a bad news that can be particularly emotionally quite distressing for both your patients and possibly yourself as well. So a little trigger warning: if this is going to be something that's going to be upsetting for you or triggering for you, please scroll past this video and watch some of my other videos on this or anything else on my playlist. So stay tuned for the rest of this video. Welcome back everyone to my channel. It's very great to have you on here, and I'm very grateful for your presence, your attention and your participation. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Shweta. I am the founder and lead coach of Healthy Dynamics. We are a healthcare professional coaching space that helps healthcare professionals, as I mentioned previously, with their communication as well as improving their English language skills in order to build better relationships with their patients that are founded or based on trust and credibility, and also help you stand out as a person of excellence in the workplace. So I have done videos in the past where I have talked about how to actually address situations where you have to deliver bad news to your patients. And I have gone through systems and things and strategies that you can incorporate in order to do that. If you haven't watched those videos, this is a playlist that I'm going to link up over here where you can watch some of them, where I talk about how to, on a generic level, deliver bad news in different situations to your patients. Now in this video, however, I'm going to focus on one particular scenario that people of that particular healthcare space who work in that job have to do on a regular basis. And the concept that I'm going to cover today is how to deliver the news of miscarriage to a patient. If you're, say, a sonographer or a radiologist or anyone who's working with that particular patient. Now, I personally have never been pregnant because, as everyone knows, I'm child-free by choice, and I've never been pregnant. I don't want to get pregnant. So I obviously have never experienced miscarriage. But I know people in my life who have gone through it multiple times. And even if the pregnancy was not planned per se, miscarriage can be a very, very shattering and devastating experience for patients. And when you as a healthcare professional are delivering that news to patients, that can bring up some very difficult emotions for yourself as well. So it's really important that when you are in that space or when you're in this situation, not only do you have to show empathy and compassion to your patients, but also really look after yourself. So get yourself some support that's required to help you navigate through the process. And I'm sure if you're in the sonography space and if you're in the maternity space and where you do this on a regular basis, I'm sure it's never an easy process. It's very, very distressing for everyone. But I have come up with a system or some techniques that you can incorporate in order to help you navigate through this process a lot better and a lot more, not only tactful and diplomatic, but also being very empathetic and compassionate. That's the main thing. So before we actually get into that, if you're enjoying this type of content and the videos that I'm posting on this channel, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and also please like it towards the end of the video if you actually like it. So that way it can be distributed to the people who are going to get some value out of this. So let's get started. The number one step that you have to take when you're delivering the news of a miscarriage to a patient is to not lie or withhold any information. Now, I have talked about transparency with patients in my past videos and my content many, many times. And this is the worst thing that you can do to them, when you're not being honest and forthright with them about what has happened, or you're hiding bits and bobs with them just because you're worried about the fact that they're going to get upset. What's going to be even more difficult for them to navigate is that when they find out that you have actually withheld important information from them because you did not want them to experience any kind of heartache or anything like that. It is important that you are completely open, transparent, and candid and honest when you're doing this without hiding or withholding or lying about any type of information. So that's number one. The phrases and words that you use when you are delivering this type of information should not only be empathetic and compassionate, but also factual. So when you're delivering this news, it's always a very good way to keep it factual. So for example, when you're sort of sharing your findings of what the scan has actually shown to the patient, you might say, we have discovered this particular observation in this scan. It's something that we did not expect, or it was quite unexpected for us, or we didn't expect to see this at this point. So keep it very, very factual. So this is, you go into what you have actually seen and observed in the scan or in the ultrasound, and what you were expecting to see and what wasn't shown. That's number two. So keep it very, very factual. Number three, avoid, in the early stages especially, avoid using words such as unfortunately or I'm terribly sorry. Now, there is a time and space for you to do this in the very end, but you should, at no point should you introduce the word unfortunately, because not only does it make what is already a bad news even more distressing for them, but also what you're really doing is you are sort of setting them up to be disappointed. And I know it's a real fine line when you have to, this is never an easy process to share with anybody. But when you introduce the word unfortunately, it kind of prepares them for the worst, but also it sort of makes them doom and gloom. I don't know. I just feel that it's not really a good idea to use the word unfortunately, but please comment down below if you think that I'm completely wrong. But yeah, avoiding using the word unfortunately, particularly in the early stage of when you've just explained your observations and findings, and not also going with I'm terribly sorry. That is towards the end, but this is how you structure it. But at no point should you be saying unfortunately or I'm afraid in this stage of the communication with the patient. The next step is, obviously, you have to rip the bandaid, as I said. So you have to actually put your emotions aside as best as you can and actually deliver to them what has happened. So keep it quite factual and saying things like, there is no heartbeat, we have not found a heartbeat, or whatever has happened to the fetus that you were expecting to see and you didn't see it. And as a result of this pregnancy will not be viable. This pregnancy cannot proceed further. Again, don't use the word you have miscarried. Again, that might make the patient feel that they have done something wrong. It never is, even if they have done everything right, it's just sometimes things just don't work out. And in that situation, you mention things like, this pregnancy will not be viable, this pregnancy cannot be has been an unsuccessful one, or this pregnancy has reached its end. Yeah, that's how you have to keep it in as. And then in the very end, once you've delivered that bad news, you say to the patient, I'm terribly sorry, and I am deeply sympathetic for what has happened to you. And at that point, you really have to show empathy and compassion. And also, it's very important to not use the words, I know how you feel. This is only viable if you yourself have experienced miscarriage or whatever it is that the patient is going through. You have gone through it yourself before. And even if you have, it's really not, I believe, a professional idea or a good strategy to use when you are already delivering a bad news to a patient, to sort of introduce your 2 cents on it. It's most important to let them, give them the space and time to process this information that is going to be obviously very, very upsetting and distressing for them. So you have to definitely do that. And it's always a good idea to tell a patient that, for example, I'm going to give you guys some time. So if the patient is with one of their family members, just give them some time and space to just walk out of the ultrasound room, and just give them some time and space to grieve and process the information that they're going through. And finally, as I mentioned previously, it's very, very important that you get support for yourself as well if needed. I am aware that sonographers have to do this probably on a very regular basis, especially even if the the miscarriage has happened at a very, very late stage. So if you're, say, up to 28 weeks or 32 weeks and you've miscarried, that is an even more highly distressing experience for everybody. And that's why it's very important for yourself as healthcare professionals who are in this situation to get whatever help and support it is that you needed. So whether it's, like in Australia, we have things like Lifeline and Beyond Blue and things like that. And obviously in any organization, there'll be something like an employee assistance program. So it's very important that you seek out help and support from them, and also get the help and support from you, because that is very important for you to breathe as well and to vent and go through a sort of share with the people who you trust, what has gone on. And getting that out of your system is always a very, very good thing. And if needed, even if you have to take some time off, absolutely, it is vital that you do that if it's going to help you with your well-being and your happiness, and also make you more productive when you are back into it and doing it all over again. So this is one example of where I'm just talking about how you can deliver an example of a bad news in a much more tactful, compassionate and empathetic manner to your patients. And it's never an easy process, but hopefully by following these little tips and strategies, it might make the process a little bit easier and smoother. Now, I will go through another example next month of, again, delivering another type of bad news. And in the midst of that, I will cover other videos and other concepts on my channel. Speaking of which, if you do like what's being posted on this channel and the videos, make sure that you hit the subscribe button, notification bell, and like the video if you obviously like what you see. And also please leave your comments and thoughts down below of whether if you personally have experienced miscarriage yourself, or if you're comfortable with it, and also if you have delivered this type of news in the past before to your patients, and how you navigated through that. Because yes, as much as I'm a coach, I'm also learning in this space, so I'd love to hear what you did, and that way I can also use that as a bit of inspiration. So thank you very much for your time, attention and presence, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much.